What's up, Scyushi Squad? We are back in small Trove, and today we're going to be doing a very quick tutorial on the best method to end up grinding Astral Echos. So we're going to end up using Astral Echos as a currency to buy Celestial Spheres, and Celestial Spheres are basically a skill point that we can end up associating with the skill tree table. Now, you can only end up getting 40 of them in total out of the 120 different skills that you can end up getting. Granted, there's still going to end up being all these key slots that you will have to open in order to end up getting this dragon, but for today's purposes, we're specifically talking about Astral Echos. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this little dude right here is always going to end up resetting on the day where you can buy 50 Astral Echos 5 times for 1 Despoiled Divinity each. So at the very least, make sure you log in and grab that. So where do you actually get the resource in the first place? Well, you get it from completing dungeons, or at least you rarely have a chance of getting it when you defeat a dungeon. More specifically, the dungeon chest can end up dropping Astral Echos, but it's going to end up being very, very random whether or not you even get it to drop in the first place. And then on top of all of that, through my rigorous testing, we found that no difficulty matters. Like the Uber world that you're in, you'll end up getting the same odds in a novice world as you will in higher Uber difficulties. So if you're not at the end game, it's not really going to make that much of a difference. However, the most efficient method of grinding Astral Echos, based on it dropping out of chests, it means that you have to end up finding the most chests possible. So how do you get the most chests possible? Well, there's going to end up being the repeatable chests in the 5-star Sundered Uplands dungeons, because the objective itself is going to have you you know, fighting over and over and over again. And you guys know 5-star dungeons at this point. Sorry guys, I can't really find a 5-star dungeon. I've been looking for a couple minutes now, and the game is starting to rubber band me beyond belief. So I'll just kind of explain an example of it. When you are doing the 5-star dungeons, the tactics that you use to defeat those dungeons is going to change slightly. Because if you're doing the dungeon with like multiple people, usually you're trying to get through the dungeon as quickly as possible, right? Well, when you're trying to grind Astral Echos, if you can coordinate it with everybody, you want to make sure that you and everybody else are opening as many chests as possible. So you would actually systematically do the first objective, the second objective, third objective, and so on and so forth as one big entity, one big mob of people, so that you could all end up opening the chest with a chance of getting Astral Echos. Speaking of which, we actually just got super duper lucky and got 40 Astral Echos right then and there. So essentially, it's just doing 5-star dungeons until, you know, the typical wave 73 and up. Once you end up having your 5-star weeklies out of the way, you still want to continually grind the Astral Echos out of 5-star dungeons. But generally speaking, it can take somewhere from 30 minutes if everybody is rushing every single objective to maybe 45 minutes or an hour's worth to end up getting the entirety of the dungeon done if you're just soloing it, depending on which dungeon it is, of course. But you'll end up averaging somewhere around like 200 to 400 Astral Echos. There is going to end up being the new tome that you can end up getting, which of course is a legendary tome, which means you get 5,000 Astral Echos per week out of it. But generally speaking, this is going to be a very, very, not only like just timey thing to grind, but also very time gated, just because of the legendary tome and then the NPC up here.